Shortly after Jones released from the team, Daniel came to see me this morning and asked if we would release him. We mutually agreed that would be best for him and for the team. Daniel has been a great representative of our organization, first class in every way. His handling of this situation yesterday exemplifies just that. We're all disappointed in how things have worked out. We hold Daniel in high regard and have great appreciation for him. We wish him nothing but the best in the future. Glad you're with us here on this NFL Live Friday. We've got Dan Orlovsky, we have Ryan Clark, we have Marcus Spears, Mina Kimes working through some technical difficulties, and she will be joining us soon. So I'll start with you, Dan. Busy week of news out of New York. What do you make of this latest development with Daniel Jones?
Yeah, necessary and needed. Ever since the benching became official, I guess the most surprising part of this is, at least by reports, that the Giants were surprised post-benching that Daniel Jones would request this. I think this was probably something that most people should have anticipated, that he would want to move on. I fully expect Daniel Jones to clear waivers. And then the question becomes, what's his move? Does he go to a team and try to get a bunch of snaps for the rest of the 6 or 7 weeks left of the season? Or does he go and see if he can join a contending football team? The Dolphins come to mind for me. I wouldn't disagree or hate the fact of the Chicago Bears trying to get a veteran there for Caleb Williams. The Los Angeles Chargers, now that they're going on a playoff run, having someone behind Justin Herbert. I think it's going to take both parties doing due diligence. What does Daniel Jones want?
Have handled him as far as extending him and giving him a contract and allowing him to play as long as possible to prove that he earned and deserved that contract. I watched the same thing or something similar happen with Russell Wilson last year. I felt like Russell Wilson, at least publicly, was treated much more harshly than Daniel Jones has been treated. So Daniel Jones going to the Mara family and asking for his release is somewhat puzzling to me. It does give me a little look into why he sort of gave a farewell to the fans, a farewell to the organization yesterday. I think if you're Daniel Jones now, you want to move forward and have an opportunity to compete somewhere. You want to show that you could be a good starting quarterback in this league. I don't know if that market exists for him right now, but what we do know, there's been the Carson Wentz's, the Gardner Minshew's, and some of these starting quarterbacks that have gotten opportunities in other places to be starters again, or to at least compete for those jobs. And I believe that's what Daniel Jones is going to do. I don't know if you're a team that's saddled right now with Desmond Ridder and Gardner Minshew. Do you say to yourself, maybe bringing Daniel Jones in as a backup is a smart move for us if we're the Las Vegas Raiders for the rest of the year?
I like the ideas that both of y'all talked about, and Daniel Jones obviously requesting the release I thought was the right thing to do to get this next phase of his career started. And I don't know the backup situation, but Dan, I heard you throw some teams out there. If I'm Daniel Jones, I'm trying to get around Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan or Ben Johnson. I'm trying to get around some guys that we've seen develop quarterbacks and put them in really good situations just to sit and learn. I know a backup is very valuable in this league, but I think about Baker Mayfield leaving and going to the Rams. I'm sure he talks about what he learned from Sean McVay. You think about Kyle Shanahan, where he brought in Sam Darnold, and at a time we was talking about Sam Darnold can truly compete against Brock Purdy. We wouldn't feel bad about him going back in the game, but I think this is a learning tenure for Daniel Jones to be in a better situation, because the reality is he didn't play great. And we knew that this was coming, but he also wasn't set up well. Offensive line issues, never having a dominant wide receiver. Obviously, was a lot of things going on in New York outside of Daniel Jones and what his talent was or wasn't. But I think this needs to be a learning process for him. So I would get around some of these offensive minds that we think very highly of, especially from the quarterback position, and try to learn as much as possible. And maybe that ignites something in him and he can play better football going forward if that opportunity ever presents itself. And I think that should be his train of thought right now, is just soaking up as much information and learning how to play the position. And this is no shade to Brian Daboll. I think he's one of the better quarterback guys in the league, but we've seen system and structure that he implemented with Josh Allen that made him better. And obviously there was some highlights of Daniel Jones last year as the reason why they decided to pay him. But I think now he needs to get around a great quarterback developer and some offensive football minds to get a different perspective of what this league is from that position.
Yeah, if he's ever going to have a career in this league again as a starter, he needs to decompress. The goal should not be to run somewhere where you can get snaps on a bad football team right now. The goal should be, how do you remake your name?
Right.
And Marcus, I actually like the point of Detroit for a couple of reasons. I didn't think about this, but one, obviously you have the chance to be around a really well-run organization. You learn offensive football at an incredibly high level and one that he's not been around. But also this, Ben Johnson, who's their play caller, is probably going to go be a head coach next year. You have no idea what that 7-week stretch could lead to when it comes to the 2025 season.
Yeah.
So if you get around an offensive coordinator that becomes a head coach somewhere and he wants to bring in somebody that knows his system, that he believes maybe has a chance to be an impactful player for their organization, that's a good spot. So I actually think that Detroit spot, the more I think about it after you said it, makes a lot of sense. But most importantly, Daniel, don't chase what you want right now for what you really want. What you really want is to rebuild your career. The understanding and the learning experience is way more important than snaps.
Yeah, it's a good point, you guys, and well illustrated. Marcus, to your point about Baker Mayfield, it's worth remembering that time with Sean McVay also connected him with Liam Cohen. That's the offensive coordinator, of course, now with the Bucs. They developed a great relationship, and then that was a really smart marriage there in Tampa Bay. We'll see what happens.
When you look at how things went south for Jones as a Giant, where do you place the blame?
I would have to say, can I put it all on the front office? I'm going to put about 85% of it on the Giants front office. As you mentioned, he's the 6th overall pick back in 2019. I looked back and looked at Pete Prisco's grade from that. He gave the Giants a D, and I think that was kind of the general consensus that the Giants selected Daniel Jones too high. When you're a top 10 pick, that puts a lot of pressure on you to succeed, especially when you are a top 10 pick who is a quarterback. So right out of the gate, you have a pressure that maybe Daniel Jones wasn't prepared for because he probably shouldn't have been picked that high anyway. Then you're stuck with the front office that leaves you kind of unprotected. The offensive line was never great while he was there. They never really went out and got any great pass catchers until this year with Malik Neighbors, but that was kind of too little, too late. And then you look at Saquon Barkley, he was carrying the offense, but he missed almost 30 games due to injuries during his 5 seasons with Daniel Jones. So there was just always some issue. It was almost like he was set up to fail. Yes, he does have that one playoff game, but it was just tough sledding for Daniel Jones. So I put a lot of it on the front office, a little bit on Brian Dable, a little bit on Daniel Jones, but mainly the Giants front office.
Well, you mentioned being under pressure too. That offensive line was tough for Daniel Jones's career. I mean, Andrew Luck retired early for the amount of pressure he was taking. 174 sacks in 86 games. Daniel Jones sacked 208 times in just 70 games. Not a great formula for success right there, but now that he's been waived, the Giants will take on $47.1 million in dead money this year and $22.2 million in 2025. But by releasing DJ, the Giants free up $19.4 million in cap space next year. So when you look ahead at the future, yes, there are still 7 games to be played this season, but what is next for both sides, the Giants and Daniel Jones?
Well, I think when you look at the Giants, all eyes in New York are on April and the 2025 draft because that is where you're going to get your next quarterback. You let Tommy DeVito play out the season. Maybe if something happens, Drew Lock plays a couple games. But now you're just trying to figure out who is going to be that guy that you take in the draft. And right now we see the Giants picking at number 3. That could change a little bit between now and the end of the season, but it seems likely that they are going to have a top 5 pick. And this isn't the worst year to have a top 5 pick if you need a quarterback, because there's guys like Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, Quinn Ewers. So there's going to be a quarterback there for them to take. We just have to hope they like them, because that's going to be how you're restarting your franchise. You're basically rebooting. If you keep Brian Dable, you're telling him, all right, this is your new quarterback. This is who we're going to build around. This is who we're going to win with. When you look at Daniel Jones, I think that is the more interesting thing. Because as you said, Madeline, he's going to hit waivers on Monday. And once that happens, he's free to sign with anyone in the NFL. Going to Buffalo would be an upgrade over Mitchell Trubisky at the number 2 guy. Going to Arizona, the Cardinals' backup quarterback's Clayton Tune. I think Daniel Jones could be an interesting landing spot for him there, and maybe even Baltimore. So I think there are a lot of spots if he's looking to join a playoff contender where he could be an upgrade over the backup that's currently in place.
We'll see. Or people who are just hanging out on Cowboys.com this afternoon, scratching their head, thinking, is that an option? Of course, reports out of Dallas saying no, that is not quite a point of interest right now. CBS Sports NFL writer John Breach, thanks so much for the...
This guy gets $40 million a year to play quarterback. Okay? Because he played good for 5-7 games. Okay?
Yeah.
Gets 40. They kicked the good guy off the team for it.
Yeah, okay? True.
Then team revolves around him, doesn't have success. Is it his fault? Is it anybody else's fault? Who knows?
Yeah.
Then he gets benched. Then he's playing scout team safety. In like a 1-day period. Then he gives one of the greatest speeches I've ever seen to fans from a player. Legitimately. You could tell he took real time on that.
Yeah.
The words were phenomenal, I think. Took a lot of accountability, took a lot of ownership. Here's Daniel Jones, who has now been released from the New York Football Giants, addressing the New York Giants fans just yesterday.
All right, I wrote something down just to make sure I say it the right way. Let's see. The opportunity to play for the New York Giants was truly a dream come true, and I'm extremely grateful to the Mara and Tisch families for the chance to play here. The Giants are truly a first-class organization, and I have nothing but genuine respect and appreciation for the people who have built it and who helped carry on that tradition. I've met so many special people and created relationships that will truly last a lifetime. Thank you to all my teammates, coaches, and staff that have done so much for me these past 6 years. There have been some great times, but of course, we all wish there had been more of those. I take full responsibility for my part in not bringing more wins. No one wanted to win more games worse than me, and I gave everything I had on the field and in my preparation. Of course, this season has been disappointing for all, and of course, I wish I could have done more. I'm 100% accountable for my part. I did not play well enough consistently enough to help the team get the results. The reality of the NFL is it's hard to win games and it requires consistent performance from everyone involved. We didn't do that well enough, so the idea to change something happens, and I understand. I love the game. I love being part of a team. I'm excited for the next opportunity and know that there's a lot of good football in front of me, and I'm excited about that. To all the fans, I have deep respect and appreciation for your passion and love for the Giants. The fans are a huge part of what makes playing for the Giants so special.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. I think that was a phenomenal message. Legitimately. He buried himself in the middle of that thing, so you can tell that he's looked in the mirror and had some hard convos, which I think we all hope for from our professional athletes, our leaders. Daniel Jones, it's not him to blame that he was getting paid $40 million a year. It's obviously not him to blame that the entire organization isn't performing well, but I like the fact that he did take the blame. That's true leadership. I also like the fact that he said his football career will continue somewhere else. We've seen a lot of second berths, third berths from the quarterback position. Will he be one of those guys? TBD, obviously, but I have massive respect for the way he handled it. And now he is officially released from the Giants because he asked for his release after playing scout team safety for a day yesterday.
Yeah, I would assume when he put those thoughts down on paper, he knew that he was going to ask for his release. But it's crazy how quick things can happen. Like, especially in football, we know it's not guaranteed contracts and everything, but he got plenty of guaranteed money. But the fact that you go from starting to, okay, you're playing scout team, you're the fourth team quarterback, and then you're asking for your release and you're gone. So now he can clear waivers, another team can sign him, right?
Yes.
This season.
Yes, he can clear. I assume he will clear waivers because if he doesn't clear waivers, don't you pick up the contract? Right?
Yeah, he'll clear waivers. Yeah, I would imagine.
So I think he's going to clear waivers. Then he'll have the opportunity to kind of choose where he wants to go.
Yep.
And I assume there's going to be teams
there's
that
a lot of teams that will want to sign him. Yeah.
Daniel Jones. I mean, Carson Wentz is the current backup for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about a tale that is pretty eerily similar in this particular facet, or you talk about it, it's like the Chiefs have Carson Wentz. I assume there's going to be a team that's going to want Daniel Jones. What are the teams that are floating around out there, Tone? What are the teams that are floating around for maybe Daniel Jones to be backup quarterback?
Well, I mean, if you think off the top of your head, like teams that right now, not even like a backup, like is Daniel Jones better than Cooper Rush right now? Could he play for the Cowboys for the rest of the season? Could he play for the Raiders for the rest of the season? But we were actually talking this morning, and I'll let Ty take this one because he's got a nightmare scenario.
Yeah, I don't know if it's actually going to happen in terms of the waiver process. I don't know how long it's going to take for it to clear, but when I heard this, all I could think is it's going to happen. I'm going to see Dan Jones donning a Niners jersey on Sunday at Lambeau, and with Shanahan, with the way he we know the kind of athlete he is. I think there's a chance he's wearing Niner red on Sunday and he slays the Packers. I really believe that.
Okay, so let's talk about that because as you know, Tone, you were rolling through it about being a starter. I thought back to Brock Purdy is in the middle of something. Got hurt last week, and then I believe it came out that the MRI had a lot better result than they thought. He's going to come to practice, and then they'll see how it goes. But both Allen and the Pastronaut are ready and capable to go. If Hasby, it's like feels like this Brock Purdy thing was very real, and then this most recent one release of news. How do we feel? It's a massive question.
You're 5-5. The Niners are 5-5, and Brock Purdy didn't practice on Thursday, I believe. Did he miss practice?
Yeah, and they said he will be back today, though, and we'll see how it goes, which is that game's
What is it? Do we know what it is?
Shoulder.
Man, see, this is That would scare me to death. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. If I'm the Niners, especially in that NFC West, 6-4, 5-5, 5-5, 5-5. That's what the NFC West is. They are very, very, very much parity driven in the NFC West right now. The Niners, we thought were going to be the team that was going to go on and do it all, just like because that is what the Niners are. But now, last year we had to deal with Debo and Trent Williams getting hurt in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
Now here we are. They're not in as good of a spot. And Brock Purdy has a shoulder. That's not great news for the Niners. If you're a Niners fan, which I have become because I love the way they play football. They're dogs out there. At least they used to be. Now they don't have as much moxie and energy. Now, towards the end of the year, do they turn it up? We shall see. Do they play better football? But it's like, I don't know what the hell's going on over there with Brock Purdy. Connor, what is the conversation around Brock Purdy? This is problematic in my eyes, but is it gamesmanship? What do you think this is?
Yeah, I'm not sure because they also had the quarterback Thursday press conference get moved to today, so it does seem very real. Not only Brock, I believe Trent Williams and Bosa also missed the Thursday practice too. So when you're talking about the most important players on that team, those are legitimately the top three. I, for one, am worried just because, the Dan Jones thing, but more so if Brandon Allen does come in, you got no tape on him. Shanahan might tell him hey, I'll tell you in your ear right now when and where to throw the damn football. Just listen to me. I'll take you home. But going to Lambeau, this is terrible, terrible news for the 49ers. And I'm shitting bricks if I'm a Niners fan. You didn't have Kittle last week. He is back this week. He said you get a chance to play the Packers. You are playing. But, you mentioned injuries. This year, too, Brandon Ayuk, that loss was major after paying him, and he finally got going. And then, he gets, hurt for the year. And then, of course, the Debo Samuel Table Peppa kind of sideline, interaction that caused a little, tussle on the sideline. Just the vibes from the Niners. We're so used to the
What's the name?
Table Peppa, kind of like Cayenne Pepper, but just Table. But just think about the vibes that the Niners had. You mentioned the way they play, but just the moxie that they have every time they take the field. It doesn't feel like they have that, same flair, if you will, that they've had in recent years. And if Trent Williams and Bosa are out, of course, having Purdy is huge, and at least you can rely on Shanahan.
Howdy, Cowboys Nation. Welcome to Dallas Cowboys Today, your number one source for all things America's team. If you're a diehard football fan and love our Dallas Cowboys, you're in the right place. So don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to stay updated with all the latest Cowboys news. Let's get started. Movie camera, hey, Cowboys fans. Today's news involves a controversial name in the NFL and a situation that's caused quite a buzz among fans. Could the Dallas Cowboys be considering Daniel Jones as their next quarterback? Stick with me until the end, and I'll break down everything that happened and what it means for our team. 3 o'clock, let's start at the beginning. Last Friday, the New York Giants announced the release of Daniel Jones, ending a turbulent stint as the team's starting quarterback since 2019. Moments later, something unexpected happened. The Cowboys' official website displayed Jones' name as if he were part of the active roster. Naturally, this sparked a wave of speculation among fans and NFL analysts. Newspaper, but hold on. It didn't take long for the website to remove Jones' name, and Cowboys VP Stephen Jones addressed the situation publicly. According to him, there's no interest in signing the former Giants QB. I think we're in a good spot with the quarterbacks we have, Stephen said. He emphasized that Cooper Rush remains the best option for the team right now, and that they still want to evaluate Trey Lance. Broken heart, why did this stir up so much debate among fans? The 2024 season has been a challenging one for the Cowboys. Since Dak Prescott's season-ending injury, the team has struggled to secure wins with Cooper Rush as the starter. The idea of bringing in Daniel Jones, a veteran player with a mixed track record, sparked heated discussions about the team's best short-term options. Flex biceps, and what about the future? Stephen Jones made it clear that the organization is still committed to Dak Prescott as the long-term solution. However, with the season on the line, how Rush and Lance perform in the coming weeks will be critical in shaping the team's direction. Magnifying glass tilted left, now it's your turn, fans. Do you think the Cowboys are right to pass on Daniel Jones? Or would it be worth giving him a shot as the team searches for ways to save the season? Speech Balloon, drop your thoughts in the comments below. Share this video with fellow Cowboys fans. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay updated on all the latest news about our team. Here, we break it all down, analyze, and cheer together. American football, go Cowboys! Let's keep pushing forward and hoping for brighter days on the field.